Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another PGR reaction. Today we have Wings of Destiny, the 4th anniversary theme song. This one came out about a week ago, and as per usual, when I get to the anniversary songs, I like to disclaim that I'm not a player of the game yet. I do plan to get to it, but I have like a list of games I'm working through, so I haven't played this one yet, so I don't have any like real connections with many of the characters. I know very little of the lore from just other videos I've done on the subject, but I like listening to the music anyway because a lot of the time they're great songs even without that other context, and sometimes I end up getting the context right just based off how good the song is. So let's see if that happens again, and without further ado, let's go! Starting with a lot of atmosphere on this one too. I've gotten a lot of atmosphere recently.
We've become a fragment of the sun, broken to the bone. Look what we have become. Lost it all, but every time we fall, we rise again with no tears at all.
I'm liking the singer's tone. It's got a lot of power to it. It's also weird getting animation with PGR. It's not something I see a lot, but there's some good bits in here, probably from other projects. What's the build-up gonna do? Ooh. Yeah, that's got a kick to it. Ooh. Change it up a little bit. Really nice production. That side-chained vocal there. I really like that pulse. It fit really well. Break it down before we build it back up again. I'm starting to pick up some of the piano things that they're doing in here. I like it. It's such a steady build up here too. And it has just enough kick, you know? This is a really good one, where it's got just enough of that kick to like keep the presence there, but not too much, because then it would be overwhelming. Especially with the aggressive sidechain. If this was any more cranked up, I feel like it would be almost hard to listen to some degree. But this is really well balanced. Ooh. Go ahead and let that reverb decay out like mad. That's really interesting processing on the piano too. That isn't what I was noticing earlier. I was noticing like chords in there earlier, But what they did here was kind of cool. It's just how they processed it, but I'll hold off my opinions till the after section. All right, so to start off, I want to mention that the last couple of videos I've listened to from PGR have been a little bit underwhelming to me. The last few production-wise have felt kind of flat and a little bit too safe, or just straight up missing the point in my opinion, and just missing the mark on the intensity. This song gets to that mark, and I'm very happy about that. I was almost losing faith a little bit after seeing so many in a row going like, it's an okay song, but it's just missing a little bit of that extra punch. This song had that punch in that transition to the chorus. That was really well done. This is what I mean, and this is kind of like a baseline for like as much punch as you need to be able to make that impression happen. And like I said during the reaction, there were parts in this production that would have, in my opinion at least, felt like a little fatiguing, a little too much if they kept cranking that dial further to get more and more intensity out of it. So I think they matched energy really well and kept that solid line static basically all the way through. And that's not saying that the energy was static. They definitely let it crank up a little bit, but they didn't go too far to be like, Jesus Christ, can you dial it back a little bit? Versus the other ones that I've heard recently that have been a little bit more like, where's the dial? I wish they cranked it. When you come to these big emotional moments, especially choruses, you're building up so much, and then when songs just kind of deflate after you do that and there's no energy bringing you into that next section, it feels kind of bland and it pulls my energy down because I'm just expecting so much more. And this song gave me just enough to be like, okay, yeah, there it is. Like I felt the bass crank a little bit. Again, that side chaining, the like pulsating you were hearing in the vocals and the kick and everything, that was all very well woven, very tight. And like, that's exactly what I'm talking about when I say that I'm missing some of that punch. This song had it, and that's why I like it. And also the vocalist for this one, really good pick. I really liked her tone. I really liked her power. She balanced herself very well all the way through, and they handled her voice very well. I think the only time where I noticed anything that was a little bit iffy was maybe right at the beginning, just because you could hear more of the processing to her voice in that moment because there was so little of the music on top of it. And that's something I've actually noticed a few times recently in these songs from like a bunch of games, not PGR specifically, where they will take the vocalist and they'll either overproduce it or just in general not dynamically approach the vocals throughout the mix. Like the beginning of this one being a little bit too much in my opinion, but it sounded great for the most of the song that she was there. That was fantastic, but at the beginning it was just a smidge too much. And other songs have done something similar where like the whole song sounds great, and then at the end there's like a moment where I'm like, you can just, back it off a little bit when it comes to like getting something that's a little bit more organic out of a voice. So I feel like that's a similar case here where they could have just dialed that back a little bit at the very beginning. Again, sounded great for the rest of it, but dynamically approach vocals. Don't just slap a bunch of filters on there and go, well, it sounds good here, so it should sound good here. That's not how it works. That's not how it should work. And anyone who's doing this professionally should know. I'm not even a producer myself, and I'm hearing this and going, why is this not being approached dynamically? It's a voice. It's one of the most dynamic things we have as humans. Use your abilities to dynamically approach it in a mix to make it sound a little bit more fitting depending on what the song is doing. It's a very small gripe, but it's something I've noticed, like I said, in a bunch of projects that I feel like people are starting to miss, like it was there for a while and recently it's gotten worse. I don't know why that is, but I'm hearing it more and more and it's kind of bugging me. But one of the production things they did here that I really liked was the piano at the end. I mentioned in there that there was something the piano was doing that I really enjoyed, and it was basically just compression. How they used the compression on the piano for that little outro bit was very nice. You could hear the organic elements of a piano. Somebody was actually playing it. It wasn't a synth. It wasn't something that was in a VST, in a DAW. It was an actual person playing, and you could hear that because of how they compressed and leveled everything. They smushed all those extra details in so you could hear them. You could hear the foot pedals. You could hear the little hammers hitting the strings if you listen close enough. It's all in there, and I really like it when they leave those details in, especially for something like this that's supposed to be a giant payoff for a big emotional piece. I love that. It feels so much more personal because it's somebody playing. You can feel the emotion in their play. You can hear it. You can feel that dynamic approach to them playing, and them crushing all that in there with the compression. It just makes it sound more obvious. So you're able to immediately hear that, even if you're not really a player or a producer. You can be like, oh, there's something in there. It's that organic thing subconsciously that plays to every human's heart, like, oh, there's a human playing this. There's somebody here. It adds that factor to it because a lot of songs these days obviously are EDM. Half of this song was EDM, and that's totally fine. I love EDM. It's fucking great. I also love orchestral and everything in between. I'm a huge fan of music, but what I love hearing is when people approach music with the emotion of it in mind. And I love that because in a world where you could have just taken this entire song and produced it in a DAW with a bunch of synths, fantastic, whatever, you get some piano sound packs, cool, it could have been done that way. But they didn't just do that. They allowed some of those extra humanizing features to be left in there and decided to make it a part of the song, to add to that emotional balance in the song. And that is such a good payoff. It makes everything feel a little bit more tangible, and it's just good production in general. And that's why overall I really like this song. I think the production was fun. Some of the other piano things I mentioned that I heard in there were basically just some chord things, a little jazzy, using some like sus chords to borrow some things from another key, stuff like that, the nerdy shit, getting into music theory. But overall, I just like this song. This is the best produced one I've heard in a couple of weeks, and it's nice when I hear these ones because, like I said, I was losing faith a little bit. This is the production baseline I want to hear and I expect to hear out of a game of this scale. Something that has that emotional weight to it is paying attention to that dynamic difference in the song, allowing there to be some of that extra energy and utilizing that instead of just going, it's good enough and sending it off, you know? That minor gripe about the vocals is basically the only negative I had about this song. Everything else was really good, so I'm glad that this song exists and I'm glad I got a chance to hear it. This was really, really nice. But I have yapped plenty on this one, so thank you all so very much for watching. If you have another song you want me to get to from PGR, by all means, let me know in the comments below and I will do my best as always to get to those. Or if you just enjoyed this video and you want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!